What is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap. My name's Michael. This is John. We are very excited to have you today. Today is September 17th. It is Thursday, and we are getting ready for that Thursday night football.
Yeah, here we go again, ready for week 2. Week 1 was filled with a lot of fun, a lot of upsets, and a lot of people we weren't really expecting to have a breakout weeks, but ready for week 2. Really excited.
Very excited for it. But before we jump into our action-packed, fun-filled show, I do want to touch on the beer that we are drinking today, and that is the Face Melter by Champion Brewing. It is an apricot mango gauche. Ghost?
I liked it. You know, you said it so fluently and perfectly the first time. You should have just left it that.
Gauche, sir. Sure.
Second guess yourself.
I know. I need to stop. So, it's a pretty good beer so far. Really low on the IBU count, which is nice, kind of crisp, refreshing. I like it so far.
Me too. It's got a nice little sour flavor, so you know that's where I'm living.
Yeah, definitely. So, anyways, we have a special announcement. Do you want to tell them that?
Yes, guys, because we love you guys so much and we've been appreciating all the support you guys have been giving us. We are doing another giveaway. We will be giving away a signed Kenny Golladay jersey. You can tune into our Twitter or our Instagram at the Fantasy Tap to see how you can win that. Just wanted to give back to you guys for show a little appreciation.
Yep. It was kind of last minute. We were sitting here before the show and we're like, you know what? Let's give the fans what they want, and we are.
Yeah, free stuff. Everyone loves free stuff.
Can't beat it. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our show overview real quick. We've got injuries and news updates, and then we also have the Thursday night preview, of course. And then before or after that, we do have a few questions, trade questions, and start-sit questions from some listeners. So we're going to get to those as well. So, fun-filled show.
Yeah, should be great.
Yeah. So, let's jump into our injuries and updates, news around the league, all that stuff that's happening. First off, Chris Godwin, he is in the concussion protocol, unfortunately. I kind of mentioned it last episode that he left the game after getting hit in the head, and he didn't return. So that was something to keep an eye on. Bruce Arians did say today that he is in the concussion protocol. And then also, Mike Evans, he was limited today. And Bruce Arians came out and said something a little strange. He said that he wants to move Mike Evans around the formation, and he also feels bad that he didn't get more, or he feels bad if he has less than 10 targets.
That's a huge stretch from where he started last week with only that one catch. But hopefully I don't see it. No, I guess you can hopefully see it happening, especially if Chris Godwin's going to be out for hopefully not an extended amount of time. You're going to be seeing Mike Evans be absorbing a lot more of those targets. Scotty Miller did get a handful of targets and was really looked at by Brady. So hopefully maybe Arians is thinking that they need to get Evans some of those targets downfield rather than Miller those targets underneath. But if he's going to be moving around, it should only mean good things, especially as coach speak coming from Arians.
Yeah, but the thing is if you, I went into their snap counts and where he lined up and stuff like that. He moved around quite a bit. He played left outside receiver 22 snaps, right outside 21 snaps, left slot 17 snaps, and then 5 snaps in the right slot. So
you got a lot of work to do in that right slot. You know?
I
Gotta
guess
get him in there.
Give him a couple more in that
Spread
right
him out
slot.
more evenly.
So I do think it's going to be a good week for Mike Evans, especially if Chris Godwin is out. If Chris Godwin's not out, then I'm kind of up in the air on him, on Mike Evans. But if Chris Godwin's out, I think Mike Evans is a must start this week.
Oh yeah, I mean Mike Evans is almost a must start if he's healthy, especially as like a receiver too. But especially going up against the Panthers defense this week, I think he's going to be absolutely balling. With Chris Godwin out, you're going to be seeing what you saw last season from him. So Mike Evans, again, must start if Chris Godwin's out.
Mm-hmm. How do you think it affects Scotty Miller or O.J. Howard or maybe even Rob Gronkowski?
Are you talking about the Godwin news or the Mike Evans news?
Godwin.
I think it affects everyone a little bit. I think it just opens up the ball to be spread out a little more evenly, if not fading more towards that Mike Evans thing. Personally, I think you're just going to see equal targets like you did to Scotty Miller last week, with Mike Evans getting about 80% of the targets Chris Godwin got, in addition to what he got last week.
His 4.
Yeah, but against another defense that isn't the Saints defense, who is pretty good. So hopefully you're going to be seeing just more offense coming from the Buccaneers this week. And if anything, I think O.J. Howard might be opened up in the red zone with Godwin out. And
the nice thing is there obviously there's no fans, but they're not traveling. And now with the whole COVID thing, they're only there for 24 hours before the game instead of 48. So they get a little less time to kind of get acclimated. So definitely think that Mike Evans could be or is going to be a solid play, especially if Chris Godwin's out. Gronkowski, do you think he's going to get involved this week?
You saw him get involved really lightly last week. He's coming off that season off, so maybe he's just still warming into it. But I would think, especially if Chris Godwin is out, maybe Gronk gets a few more looks. But I do think that O.J. Howard is the young, fresh talent that's extremely talented and has been, working a 2 tight end group with Cameron Brate the past couple of years, as well as nursing his own injuries. So maybe some Gronk work. Not someone I'm going to be playing in any way.
Yeah. I agree. I'd rather play. I mean, if I had to choose between the two, Gronk or OJ, I'm going to actually, as weird as it sounds, because he's only owned in 7.1% of leagues, ESPN-wise. I'm going to play OJ over Gronk, even though you spent the draft capital on Gronk. So, but anyways, moving on. Kenny Golladay. He's really hurting my push for that wide receiver too, man. He didn't practice again Wednesday due to the hamstring. Even if he does play, I'm not going to start him this week.
You wouldn't even start him as your flex receiver rather than a bench receiver?
No, I mean, I guess it depends on what he does. If he comes back and fully practices Thursday, Friday, then yes, but I don't see that happening. I think Mike Evans just did it. He was injured, finally got the limited on Friday, bumped from doubtful up to questionable, and then played and didn't do too much. And it also happened to Devontae Parker too with the hamstring. It's an easy injury to re-injure if you're coming off too quickly. So I don't want to take that risk personally. I know he's a high upside guy. I think it would be worse if you played him and he stunk than if you didn't play him and he balled. I think it'd be like, he'd kill your team at that point because then you can stream somebody else at least.
I think that I would play him as like my flex over benching him if he comes back and practices Thursday and Friday, just because you spent that capital on him. Means that you're going in that flex, you're either more than likely going to be playing unless you have someone that's extremely stable and has that consistency. I think that the upside at a flex position, I'm obviously not going to be taking out my wide receiver 1 or my wide receiver 2 for him or moving them down, but I'll take out someone who I'm hoping on that upside for with someone who can give me the most upside.
Now, if he fully practices today, Thursday, and tomorrow, Friday, then I'll play him. But if he doesn't practice today and he practices in a limited basis on Friday, who would you choose between him or Anthony Miller as your flex?
Only practicing Friday?
Only in a limited fashion.
I'd probably play Anthony Miller just because I really like what he did last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. I don't want to take the risk. If he gets out there and gets, tweaks at the first play, then it's a whole game gone. And it's, close to 0 points, if not 0. So I'm not going to take that risk. But we'll check in on Friday, let you know how it's going. Moving on, Miles Sanders. he is on track to play this week. So is Lane Johnson as well, which is great for that offensive line. But Miles Sanders did practice fully yesterday, Wednesday. So it's a great sign. Are you gonna?
It's a good sign. Am I gonna play him? Yeah.
Yep. You kind of got to. You paid up for him.
Yeah, kind of just how I was talking about this Kenny Golladay situation. You paid up for him, meaning that you spent your draft picks on them. If you have him, you more than likely have him as your RB2.
You could have him as RB1.
You might have him as an RB1. In that situation, your depth of running back isn't going to match the upside of him playing. So hopefully he does really well. What does scare me is how the offense ran when he wasn't there last week. I know everyone was jumping on the Boston Scott train as soon as the news came out that Miles Sanders wasn't going to be playing. But we saw how that worked out for a lot of people. Maybe with their go-to running back, they might be rushing the ball more efficiently with a little bit better of an offensive line coming into the week. But it's not like they were running against the hardest defensive line in the league.
And they're about to.
And they're about to. So it's not a sexy play, but it is an upside play, and it is something that I think you're going to have to play if you have him on your roster. It's just going to have to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he plays the Rams. If you don't know, he plays the Rams. So, and we saw what they did. Obviously, Benny Snell was able to run on him, which was nice to see. So there's definitely some upside. Or I'm sorry, not Benny Snell.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Ezekiel Elliott was able to run on them. I don't know why I said Benny. But Ezekiel Elliott was able to, put some yards up on them. But he was also involved heavily in the passing game as well. And that's really all Dak had time to do was throw the ball to Zeke. The same may happen with Carson.
Yeah.
With that offensive line. Aaron Donald's going to bull rush 5 of them at the same time. And push them all, and he was a monster. So, yeah, kind of have to play him.
Yeah, have to play him, and again, it's an upside pick, and someone who's could even on a floor for him, he's going to be getting him the touches, and what you got from Boston Scott is going to be his floor, I would think, at the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, moving on, James Conner did not practice on Wednesday. He did. He has an ankle injury. Mike Tomlin did say he's going to leave the light on for a possible play in week 2. I'm not going to play him there. Not going to play him. Another guy I'm not going to play that with.
That injury game's going to be way too scary. I'd definitely jump. I'd rather play Benny Snell over James Conner this week. We saw how great he did against that Giants defense. I'd like Benny Snell. It's crazy how these Steelers running backs just seem to come out of nowhere as soon as the one ahead of them either goes down or doesn't want to sign a contract.
It's because of that offensive line.
It's, again, because that offensive line and that coaching staff so great. They have talented receivers as well as Big Ben in the back throwing the ball. It just opens up the run game so much for them. So James Conner's a definitely must not play. But Benny Snell's a great waiver wire pickup if you were lucky this week. I know a lot of people were super hot on him.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have him, I would definitely put him in it as a flex.
Yeah.
Over a handful of other people. So James Conner out's actually good news for Benny if you've jumped on the Benny train.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed. Now, the Broncos weren't too shabby, though, against the run. Even though it was Derrick Henry, 31 attempts and only 113 yards, which, for Derrick Henry, that's not great. But so it is, even with Von Miller out, they were slowing the run game down a bit. So, but I agree with John. Benny Snell's a good flex this week. Stay away from James Conner.
Yeah. Injury risk just isn't going to be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Denver, Philip Lindsay is said to miss several weeks with turf toe.
And then Fangio came. Well, originally today, so this morning, it came out that he was going to miss several weeks. And then Fangio, after practice, even though he didn't practice, Fangio said he's day-to-day. And isn't ruling anything out at this point. So, kind of mixed news. Melvin Gordon looked pretty good, except for that fumble on Monday. So,
yeah, he looked all right.
Yeah, I mean, he put put up some points in fantasy, which was nice.
He did his job. He got it in the end zone. But realistically, if with Lindsey out, Melvin's a great play, a solid running back two or a flex, not someone that you're going to be risking your week on, but you should be able to get a reasonable production out of him being the number one back in Denver with Lindsey out. If Lindsey's back full and healthy to go, I do think it still puts a hamper on him. Before Lindsey left the game, Melvin and him were splitting carries rather fairly.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that it's going to be a running back by committee there, and that Melvin Gordon's just not going to get that production. But as long as Lindsey's out, Gordon's a solid play.
Yeah, and it's said that he does have turf toe. Lindsey does, so we saw it with AJ Green that they can linger. AJ Green actually had to have surgery on it. So it does linger. So I'm not starting Lindsey. To be honest, my opinion, I don't think he plays this week, especially with that first report. He could be out several weeks. I'm not liking that this week. So play Melvin Gordon if you got him. It is going to be another tough matchup against the Steelers' defensive line and whole defense. But I think he's going to be a pretty decent flex play.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of scares me. We saw that the Steelers really shut down the Saquon last week. So maybe it's the Giants' offensive line, or maybe it's just the fact that the Steelers' defense is just that monstrous. So he kind of does scare me, even with that offense. I do think that we're going to see Drew Lock throw the ball more. But I do think that Melvin Gordon's going to be getting that PPR bonus and be getting passes out of the backfield. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue for him.
Yeah, I think he'll eclipse that 8 or that 10, like that 10, around that 10-point range in a half PPR league, somewhere around there, which is decent for.
Oh, I see. I think he'll get about 20 touches and at least 80 all-purpose yards.
Hopefully. So, anyways, moving on. George Kittle didn't practice again with his knee injury. He is still wanting to play on Sunday though, so keep an eye out on that. You picking up their backup tight end?
No, I'm going to stay away from him. Even when George Kittle went down, he only received 2 targets through the rest of the game. So it's not like their offense relies on their tight end. It's their offense relies on Kittle, and Jordan Reed's not going to be a supplement to that.
Nope. So he's a baller. Could have been.
He used to be.
Yeah.
He's had great games. He's had great times. He's just an injury-prone man, and he's starting to get a little bit older. So just not someone I'm going to be jumping on and expecting anywhere near what Kittle was getting for you.
Yeah. Yep. And they actually, I think we talked about it a little. Yeah. Mohamed Sanu was signed by the 49ers.
Yeah, I just dropped him in one of my leagues and picked him back up.
Yeah, did you? Do you think he's going to have any fantasy value in the future?
It's kind of dependent on. I picked him up, but I'm not going to be starting him at all. It's just kind of a sit and wait, see what they do with him. Not really going to take too much of what happens this week as what I think is going to happen with him. But come 2 weeks from now, when he actually has time to get into the offense and run with the quarterback and get that connection with Jimmy G, I do think he could be a good receiver. I think he really showed that he's a great receiver when he was playing for the Falcons. He was a solid number 3 receiver for Julio and Calvin Ridley, Ridley's first year. But
that
so
team also,
Gage.
yeah. That team also threw like over 600 times. So
yeah. So I mean, we'll have to see. He didn't really get too much opportunity when he was playing for the Patriots in the back end of last season. And it's not like they really were able to do too much with him. So it's more of just a wait and see and what happens with them.
And Debo could be coming back in 2 weeks now. So he was on IR. He had to be on there 3 weeks now. So in 2 weeks, he could be back. So definitely something to monitor. Brandon Ayuk's there. He's getting healthy. So Trent Taylor, Kendrick Bourne, all of them are there. So definitely somebody. I wouldn't go rushing to your waiver wires to pick Mohamed Sanu up, but definitely monitor the situation. Keep an eye out. See, kind of what happens with Debo and the rest of the receiving core.
I picked him up in a dynasty league. Let me just.
Yeah. I knew what you're talking about, but.
Just so everyone else knows, I didn't just go pick him back up in a redraft league thinking that he's going to be my league savior.
Yeah. So, Cortland Sutton, he was limited Wednesday in practice due to his shoulder injury. How do you feel about Cortland this week, John?
Even if he does play, again, I'm not going to be playing him. I don't, even with Jerry Jeudy being the number 1 receiver for the Broncos this week, he didn't astound you. I mean, he obviously didn't put up what Cortland Sutton can. But I don't think that Cortland Sutton's going to be coming into the offense ready to play. Even with an injury risk, it kind of does scare me. No, I'm not going to be playing him in any way, even as a flex.
Yeah, even if he was healthy, I mean, playing against the Steelers secondary is
scary.
Pretty scary and pass rush. So, healthy, I mean,
But
flex.
To be fair, I mean, we did find that Darius Slayton had a really good game.
Oh, yeah.
Against that defense. They were able to find success through the air, which is surprising with, Minka Fitzpatrick back there.
He didn't have a good game.
He did not. It's a little sad.
I kind of like it, being a Dolphins fan. No, I wish him the best.
I like to see him flourish.
Yeah, me too. So it's fun to watch him play. But, yeah, I mean, Cortland Sutton, another guy I'm not playing, even if I have him, because his shoulder, I mean, and the matchup. So I'm not taking that risk. But moving on, Michael Thomas. Oh, no.
Killed me in that dynasty league I'm talking about.
I traded him away. The guy that I traded him to is upset at this point because I got DeAndre Hopkins and Robert Woods out of him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I ended up, actually, it's funny because I traded Robert Woods away, and then I traded back for Robert Woods, and then I traded DeAndre Hopkins away. So a lot of moves there. A lot of moves in the offseason. But anyways, Michael Thomas does have a high ankle sprain. I Googled the recovery time, and Google says 6 weeks. And that's typical, around, you keep hearing that. You hear that around players with high ankle sprains don't have the best recovery time. Re-injury risk is a possibility, especially if they come back early. And the Saints have been talking about putting him on IR, even though he wants to play. I'm not playing him this week, even if he plays. It's a high risk. I know you spent that draft capital on him, but he's not going to be 100% this week, and potentially not even next week.
Yeah, I'm really hurt by this. I love Michael Thomas. It kind of hurts his chance to come back and put up record numbers again. Missing any kind of time really does hurt that.
Yeah.
He has talked about trying to come back a little bit sooner than later, but all players want to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you lost him, RIP. We're really sorry for you.
Pour one out.
But hopefully you can find something on the waivers to help you fill that spot. It's kind of why I picked up Sanu. News came out for me right after the waivers already cleared, so I wasn't able to put any good bids in.
Yeah, I like Traquan for filling him in, or at least getting a larger share. Jared Cook, obviously, and Emmanuel.
Now, do you think this gives Emmanuel Sanders any sort of wide receiver 1 possibilities?
Not wide receiver 1.
No.
Low end 2.
Even on a week, even like as a week by week until he's back.
Yeah, no, I no, I don't see that happening. No, I like him as like a low end, like I said, low end 2 at the highest, high end flex. I think Traquan will get brought into the office a bit more, or offense a bit more, and so will Jared Cook. So I think I think it really boosts Traquan, I guess, more than anybody. And not saying that he's going to even be like a flexible player, but
So you didn't really see many people being relevant, fantasy relevant last week coming out of that offense besides Kamara.
yeah. So, and it could even bump him up on targets.
I think so. I think you're going to see more targets just obviously getting spread out more because he gets as many as he gets. But we didn't see him getting that much work last week, which was surprising for a lot of people, knowing that he was drafted almost guaranteed as the wide receiver 1 in most leagues.
Who, Michael Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah, he only got 5 targets.
Yeah.
And he played pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, exactly. So
is that a knock on him or Drew Brees? Do you think that's Drew Brees slowing down at all?
No, I mean, I think it was the fact that they were playing against the Buccaneers, who I think they just knew Michael Thomas is someone we need to stop. If we want to win this game, we're going to have to stop him. That's Drew Brees' favorite target. And so they put a lot of pressure on him. And, I mean, Kamara flourished in the receiving game, at least, not in the rushing game so much.
Yeah, Drew Brees only passed the ball 30 times in that game. Last year when he played Tampa Bay, he only completed 18. Last year he threw 35 and completed 28 when they were playing at Tampa. So I think Drew, to be honest, and I don't want to jump on this, too early, but
too much of a hot take. Game script.
I think that Drew Brees is slowing down just a touch, but that's good for Kamara, and that's one of the reasons why I was so hot on him. I didn't draft Drew in any leagues.
Me either.
So kind of like it.
I didn't draft him either. But yeah, I do think that it is an uptick for Kamara, just in total targets and total opportunity share getting a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm. So, Devontae Parker limited in practice Wednesday with the hamstring issue. Good shot. He's playing. Are you playing him?
No, he hurt me last week.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not playing him, and they're playing the Bills defense.
Yep.
So I'm not going to be playing him at all.
No flex, no nothing.
No flex, no nothing. He came back from that hamstring injury he was nursing previously. Went out halfway through the game. He was able to do. I think it was 4 for 4 for 47 yards.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
For a half, right?
I think for a half, but I don't want to end up playing him again and having the same thing happen. It's not like he's went full practice all week. He's already limited on Wednesday. So even if I have him, I'm feigning off of him, benching him, and throwing someone else in at least for the week just to see until he can get healthy fully.
Yeah, agreed. Like we talked about with Kenny Golladay, that hamstring issue, it lingers. And Devontae, we saw it hurt people last week, and I'm not letting it happen to me again.
No, he's not going to hurt me again this week.
So, anyways, future first ballot Hall of Famer Frank Gore is going to be starting for the New York Jets. Are you playing him, picking him up? He's playing against San Fran. I'm going to answer that for you. No.
So hear me out.
Okay. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer, first of all?
We'll see how this week goes. This
year
goes.
This week. Yeah.
First ballot's rough. It's longevity. But yeah, more than likely, just because of his longevity, he knows so many people, and more than likely some people that are going to be casting those votes. So, yes, I'll give you that. But Frank Gore, so hear me out.
Okay.
They did just sign Kalen Ballage from the Dolphins officially now that that trade didn't go through. I do think that he's going to be their primary running back this week, being that there's really nowhere else for them to go. I do think he's going to get some pass catching work. And I do see it possible that he does find himself into the end zone at least once. And at that point, I do think he is flexible for this week. I'm not trading for him. I'm not reaching for him. I'm not selling anything off for him. But even against the 49ers defense, he's the only running back that's super healthy and has any relevancy in that offense. Ballage hasn't been there long enough. Josh Adams was there last week. He did do pretty well. I'll give him that. But I do think that Frank Gore is a low-end, have no other option sort of flex. And that's in any sort of deeper league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to play him this week. I don't like the matchup. They weren't great against the run last week, the 49ers. They allowed 3.9 yards per carry up to the Cardinals. And then they did a lot of damage out of their backfield, or out of the pass catching work. They scored a touchdown that one of the running backs did there for the Cards against the Niners. So I don't really like this. Now, the 49ers are coming to New York, so that's a long flight for a 24-hour turnaround.
It is. And I mean, they did give up the second most rushing yards last week. And it's not like we're talking about an elite offensive line in Arizona. We're not talking about elite running backs. You've got someone who can ground and pound in Frank Gore. He can be consistent. And again, I do think that he finds himself into the end zone just based off of how their offense ran in the red zone last week.
They made it to the red zone?
No. That's the sad part. But I do think that they will get there. So I do think that he will be a low-end flex for some people, especially in a deeper league.
Yeah, deep league, yeah.
But again, not someone you want to reach for or think that this is going to be my week winner. This is going to be your week possibly savior.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's not going to be that savior for you. But yeah, I would agree that he does have low-end running flex potential. Now, I mean, he did last year when he was with the Bills. He had a little bit of juice left in the tank. He put up in a half PPR league. He put up 2 16-point weeks back to back, and that was week 2 and 3. So maybe he's in for a repeat.
And that's what I'm saying. Like as much as me and you argue about his longevity and the Hall of Fame, he's obviously a Hall of Fame talent. So I do think that he's going to get some relevancy. Obviously, Devin Singletary didn't play that week 3 week where he did have that 16 points, but he did play week 2, and he actually got 33% of the snap percentage. So that means Frank Gore shared a backfield that week and was still able to produce. So I think you're going to be in for a decent week from him, if not his best opportunity to have any relevancy all year.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. So, yeah, if you're desperate, play him at that flex spot. If not, don't. Allen Robinson, some Twitter beef, some Insta beef with the Bears. Removed all of his pictures of the Bears. It came out that he wanted to trade. Now, that was not true, supposedly, that him and his agent came out and said that was not true. But I guess they kissed and made up. Him and Nagy had a heart-to-heart conversation.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, the man just wants to get paid.
I don't blame him.
Understandably, he's been a really talented receiver, especially since he's come to the Bears. He did have some injuries hurting him a little bit here and there, but the Bears do find him as their number one weapon. They are happy with him there. As far as contract negotiations go, I think they're going to end up coming to something, but I do think that they're going to be kissing his butt a little bit almost.
I hope so, because he's a talented receiver, and he deserves to be paid. He deserves to be given the ball. We saw it last year. The dude can ball. We saw it in Jacksonville. Worst quarterbacks. I mean, he's been arguably with some of the worst quarterback position of a lot of wide receivers in the NFL.
Blake Bortles, Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, Nick Foles. No. Well, I guess Nick Foles is there, but
Jay Cutler. Was he there for Jay Cutler?
I don't think so. I don't know. Have to check, but wasn't pretty either way. But so hopefully they come to a long-term deal. John Brown did not practice Wednesday due to a foot injury, and he's got a pretty nice matchup against the Miami Dolphins. Now they do have a pretty solid secondary. They didn't, allow too many passing yards to Cam Newton, but they didn't really have the weapons the Bills do.
Yes, so I think that, again, if he's missing time, injury designation does matter. I do think that it might bump up Stephon Diggs a little bit more. Maybe you won't be seeing those 10 targets going to Brown, and you'll see a little bit less going to him and fading away to other people. So hopefully I don't have any investment in John Brown, so I can confidently say hopefully those targets do come to Diggs, because I do see that happening. But John Brown could still see himself, even if he plays, with a handful of targets. Not someone that's playable for me. He was flexible if he wasn't injured, just based off the amount of targets he got last week and the fact that he's going up against the Dolphins offense or the Dolphins defense.
Mm-hmm.
But Stephon Diggs, in my opinion, is getting a nice little look here.
Yeah, I like Stephon Diggs this week. I liked him last week though too, so it's not saying much, I guess.
He didn't do bad. He just didn't find the end zone. You give him a touchdown.
That's true. Thank you,
80
John.
yards.
Thanks for talking me off the ledge. So, yeah, John Brown, we'll keep you updated on that in tomorrow's episode to see if he practiced or not. Juju, he was out with a knee injury. I think it might just be an extra day off, like a vet day or something, because 18 players missed practice for the Steelers. They just played Monday. Big Ben said he felt like he's in a car wreck for his first game since 2019. And then also Deontay Johnson, he has a toe injury, same injury as last week that kept him limited throughout the week, but he did not practice Wednesday either. Probably just another rest day in my opinion, but we will keep you updated on that. So that is it. That is our injuries and news from around the league. That was a lot. A lot.
I mean, it's all injuries are relevant at this point, being that we've got games coming up day after day.
Yep.
I mean, we've got a game today.
Yeah, we do. Football's back for week 2.
Speaking of that game,
Thursday night, baby. Cincinnati's at Cleveland, at the Cleveland Browns.
at Cleveland.
Yeah, but I said, I thought
Yeah.
Cincinnati. Yeah. Bengals at Browns, Cincinnati at Cleveland, Bengals at Cleveland, Cincinnati at Browns. There we go. Got it all out.
This is the toilet bowl.
Oh, my goodness. Is it ever? Vegas has it pretty low line, over under 43.5. One of the lower scoring games they have on the week. Not going to be a high scoring game in any aspect. I think the Cleveland defense, they gave up the second most points last week, but they also played the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Burrow, not bad, not great. He did lead his team to a game-winning touchdown, but it was called back, unfortunately. I believe due to a push-off by A.J. Green.
Sad to see.
It was. And then Randy Bullock pulled both of his calves while kicking a field goal or missing a field goal. But how do you feel about the Cincinnati offense? Is there anybody you're going to play?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's so many people on Cincinnati that were drafted highly, like Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon's a must start if you have him, just because he was drafted that highly. You did see him only get 3.6 a carry last week, but he didn't look too amazing. And there was only one red zone carry in that offense, and that actually went to Gio Bernard. But
Dun, dun, dun.
But last week you did only see that the Bengals got into a scoring position only twice, and one of the times they did, Joe Burrow ran it in for 20 yards. It was a nice run.
On his wheels, baby.
I would definitely play Burrow in a 2-quarterback league. I do think he has upside, and I do think he passes the ball a little bit more effectively this week. So I would play A.J. Green as well, being that he found himself getting 5 catches on 9 targets with 3 of those 4 targets. 3 of those 4 incompletions being deep targets. One of those being the one you just said was called back. So I do think Burrow finds the end zone through the air this week, being that he was unable to last week.
Yep.
It's going to happen. You're playing quarterback in the NFL. He is not a bad quarterback. Just scoring opportunity wasn't there for him last week, playing against the Chargers, who have a stout secondary. Now they're playing against the Browns, whose secondary is not bad, but they did give up, like you said earlier, the 7th most passing yards against the Baltimore Ravens last week. So I think A.J. Green's playable. I do not think Tyler Boyd's going to be playable, just because you're going to be touchdown dependent at that point, even as a flex.
Yeah, I mean, I do like – actually, I kind of like Tyler Boyd as a flex as well. A.J. Green, definitely. Like you said, I believe that Joe Burrow will find the end zone this week. Their highest-ranked cornerback and safety is 41st overall, ranked by PFF. So I don't think that that's going to I think that they're going to be in a great position to ball out. But I'm not a big proponent on Thursday Night Football, unfortunately. So I don't know if that's my only knock. Is I am superstitious.
Both of these teams scored a total. If you add both their totals last week together, scored 19 points.
That's amazing.
It is absolutely terrible. And like you're saying, this is going to be a low-scoring game. So
hammer the under.
Hammer the under. No, realistically, they're going to be scoring more touchdowns than they did last week. Both of them played against stout defenses.
So if there's 3 touchdowns in the game, I mean.
Yeah. So realistically, what I'm trying to get to is there's going to be more touchdowns coming from both offenses. So someone on their team is going to be getting those. And I'm only going to be taking the risk on their lead players. So Joe Mixon and A.J. Green. As much as I like Tyler Boyd, he only got those 4 catches on 5 targets for 33 yards.
Yeah.
It's not like he's getting yards after catch like from last week. It's not like he's getting those deep targets. So he's not going to be winning it for you on those yards. It's going to be touchdown dependent, and we're talking about a low-scoring game with 2 slow offenses. So I'm fading away from Tyler Boyd this week.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. No, I would agree. Yeah, you changed my mind, John. I don't like Tyler Boyd this week. Thank you for talking me out of it, John.
Talking him off ledges and saving your weeks.
Yeah, so A.J. Green, definitely somebody to look forward to. I do like, he was targeted 9 times last week, and I like that a lot. And I think he's going to continue. As long as he's on the field, he's going to continue to target him. Mixon, he'll get it together this week. I have faith in him.
And something else, Joe Burrow did have 5 deep targets last week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Finished 0 of them.
Yeah, that was rough too.
And I'm unsure if that callback is counted in that. But I do think he gets, the odds of probabilities. He's going to get that ball. He threw 5 of them last week. One's going to land this week if he keeps throwing like that, and that's all it takes to make a big play. And A.J. Green's that deep threat for that team besides John Ross. So I think A.J. Green's going to be the one that's going to be seeing the most progression since last week.
Yeah, and they only have to travel like 5 hours, so
yeah,
that's nice.
No
and a bus ride, so they're probably flying, so probably like 45 minutes. Moving on to Cleveland. The Bengals defense, they only allowed 16 points last week against the high-flying offense of the Chargers. Sorry. And they had just over 200 passing yards. And they did also have 154 rushing yards, the Chargers did, on the Bengals. So I think this is a good week for Nick Chubb.
I actually think it's a good week for both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Like you said, they gave up 154 rushing yards, which was the 5th most in the NFL last week. And that was only going against that was only going against the Chargers, who in recent years haven't been a run-heavy offense. They've been more pass-heavy. So I think that Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are going to actually have relevant games. Like we just said, but the Browns had a hard time scoring last weekend. So I do think playing against a lesser defense, not being up against the Baltimore Ravens when they have Calais Campbell on the line, you're going to be able to find the end zone a little bit more. So I do think that there's going to be some touchdowns coming from the team somewhere. And honestly, with how poorly Baker's been playing, I do see it coming on the ground, if not from a dump pass out of the backfield to either Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. So I do see their yards per carry being what they were last week, but more attempts coming from both of them. I mean, last week Nick Chubb ended with 60 yards on 10 attempts, giving him a 6.6 yards per carry average. So if they just get more work in them, plus a little bit of, maybe one of them scores, either one of them can be great plays. Kareem Hunt obviously being the sleeper, that later round pick that you got because some people were scared. Nick Chubb being that person who you drafted a lot higher. You're obviously going to play either of them if you have them this week, I think.
Yeah, now if you had to choose, what if you drafted both and you have to put one in your flex?
I'm picking Kareem Hunt. He gets that pass catching work. Even if I'm not in a PPR league, he gets the pass catching work. He gets the rushing work, and he has that red zone opportunities. So I'm taking Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, he led the two of them. I mean, 13 rushing attempts last week. And personally, I think Kareem is by far the better running back.
By far? See, I was absolutely going to give you that better running back, but then he threw in the by far. I think Nick Chubb's extremely talented.
He's extremely talented.
I think Kareem Hunt's one of the best running backs talent-wise in the league.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Nick Chubb is. I think he's a great runner.
I think he's a top 12 running back in the league, talent-wise.
12? Maybe. Overall.
It's pure runner behind Henry and behind Jacobs. I
don't know. Jacobs got some pass catching work.
No.
He's all around.
6 targets.
Yeah, hey, that's good.
6 targets.
More than you thought he'd get.
No. He's got a whole year to play.
All right.
Wait for those zero target weeks.
Oh, that won't happen. 6 or more every week. Book it. Yeah, no.
The league.
Anyways, I do like both of the running backs in this week. And the only receiver I'd play is OBJ. I do kind of like them. They don't have Trey Waynes this week. LaShawn Sims is potentially out as well. He missed week 1, so could be a bounce back week for OBJ. He had 10 targets last week, so he's getting the target volume. Can Baker hit him? I guess we'll find out.
Hopefully,
but maybe. I mean, Baker needs to step it up. Are you playing Baker this week?
No, I'm not playing Baker at all. He's a complete sit and wait for me. Kind of like we mentioned before, just someone who didn't show that he's still on the same track he was last season, not being able to really move his offense, be accurate, or get the ball in the end zone. I do give him a little slack because it was the Baltimore Ravens defense, which is extremely stout. So I'll give him another week, but I'm not putting him in my lineup and letting him lose me another week. He's playing against the Bengals, so if he's going to show himself at all this season, here's a great opportunity.
Beautiful opportunity.
If he doesn't do well this week, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets benched sometime this season.
I don't know about bench, but traded.
Traded, really?
I think they'll get traded.
Okay. As far as OBJ, really quickly, though, huge upside. If Landry's out, it turns into an instant must start for me. If Landry's still in, a weak flex.
Yeah.
Just high upside, low floor flex for me at that point.
Personally, for me, I don't think it matters if Landry's in or out, just because he did receive the target volume last week, and Landry was in. Plus, they lost Njoku. For me, I'm flexing him either way. I don't want him to be my wide receiver one, but I guess if you have to, you have to. But I will flex him definitely. And he does have a ton of upside. Landry, I'm not going to play just because of the injury risk.
Risk in the Thursday night game and the quarterback play.
Yep.
All three reasons.
Yep. Thursday, stay away for me, but whatever. Njoku, IR, he's out. And then Hooper, he should, like you said, or like we talked about earlier, he'll, with Njoku out, he'll probably receive, a little bit more action. He showed that he could do it last year, but can Baker get him the ball? It's really around Baker, personally, this whole offense, and how they will flourish. But you drafted Hooper to be a tight end one. He was going, close to right at that, I think, a 10 to 12 spot around there. I was going to
say, at some points in the offseason, 8, and then at some points he fell down to that 12-14 range. So you drafted him. You drafted him to play him. You have him play him. He has some upside, but you're not reaching to play him.
If Goddard's on the waivers, pick Goddard up. Other than that, you could flex in O.J. Howard if you have him. That's pretty much it for me. I think I'm not gonna stream anybody else over Austin Hooper just because of the upside he has.
Absolutely.
But so John, if you must start 2 of these players, all of the ones we just talked about in tomorrow's game,
must start.
If you had to pick between
Kareem Hunt and AJ Green.
Kareem Hunt, AJ Green.
Yeah, I think AJ Green finds his feet this week, and I think Kareem Hunt balls out.
Yep, I would say Kareem Hunt and do I like Joe Mixon? Kareem Hunt and Joe Mixon. I like both of them this week.
Okay.
Actually, I'm sorry. Nope, take that back. Kareem Hunt, OBJ.
Okay, taking 2 on that offense. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good for you.
Yeah, I'm going with it.
You want to do a bet on point totals?
Ripping the Band-Aid off. I don't know. Do we?
Basically, it'd be AJ Green versus OBJ. How do you feel about that?
I kind of like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
You want to put it on the board?
I just wanted to push the button. Yeah. Screw it. Whatever.
We haven't clarified if this is half point or standard.
Half.
Okay. Perfect. Love it.
So, yep, I'll take OBJ to your AJ Green. But anyways, that's it. That is our Thursday night preview. We have a couple start, sit, and trade questions real quick from some listeners on Twitter. Tucker from Twitter asks, he needs RB help. He was thinking about offering Ridley and potentially another player for Jonathan Taylor and Devontae Parker. What are your thoughts?
Oof. Why are you adding that extra player?
Well, if you can get, and we answer back to him, if you can get Ridley, or if you can get Taylor and Devontae Parker straight for Ridley, do it. If you add a lower end player, do it. If you have to add a
mid-range player, if you have someone that can easily fill a flex position, then no, it's not worth it. But I personally think that Calvin Ridley has a lot of value at the moment, especially off the game that he just came off of. Matt Ryan's explosive offense. Calvin Ridley showed himself last season to be an extremely high talent. He's got the touchdown upside. He's got the receiving yards upside, and he's got the target upside.
Yeah.
He can easily find himself as a top 12 receiver, if not a top 5 receiver, depending on how he finishes.
Running back? Are you talking
Calvin
about the
Ridley?
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the RB.
No, so I think that Calvin Ridley's upside is just so high. Now, when going over to Taylor, obviously you're looking at this trade because you need the running back help. I think that Taylor is a great value for Ridley, especially with Parker filling up that spot you just opened up on your receiver bench. I just don't think that you want to be offering up much more for that. I think you want to make sure that you get your value for the player you're giving up. And if you can't get Taylor, maybe drop Parker or ask for a little bit lesser of a receiver. If not, try to find a different running back. There are running backs with upside, and Calvin Ridley is just going to be someone that everyone's going to see the value in.
Yeah, everyone's been hot on him this offseason, and after that week, they're even hotter. So, yeah, if you're offering or if you're getting Ridley straight for those two, definitely I would do it. Taylor definitely now without Marlon Mack, Taylor has the opportunity to be a top 12 running back in that offense. Devontae Parker, high-end wide receiver 2 upside as long as he can get healthy. So you're adding depth to your team, which is nice, which will allow you to have those solid flex weeks. And then if you have to trade a player with Ridley, like we said, very low end, don't do too much. If not, just keep Ridley because he's going to have a great year. Mikey from Twitter asks a trade question. Trade away DeAndre Hopkins for Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Benny Snell. He didn't say the point variation or the league, the style he's in, but for me, it's pretty easy. DeAndre Hopkins, keep him. He is going to ball. I think he could finish as a top 3 and fighting for that overall wide receiver 1 spot this year.
Yeah, I mean, just based off of last week's, the only thing we can go off of with Michael Thomas being out up to 6 weeks, if not more, hopefully a little bit less. I think DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley are all fighting for those top 3, top 4 spots, and any one of them could finish up in a 1. Mm-hmm. So I think that you're giving up a lot, trading away DHop, but grabbing Kupp, Diggs, and Snell, I don't think you're going to be winning that one. Unless you need the depth and the rest of it, you spent so much capital on DHop, but DHop is going so late in drafts this year that I obviously don't think that I think you got him at a value. So I'm holding on to Diggs or holding on to Hopkins unless I really, really need some depth on my team. They're trying to sell you hot commodities or upside commodities.
Especially Snell.
Snell, and then Kupp, someone who had a poor week but should see some upside coming up, and then Diggs as well. Performed well, just wasn't able to get in the end zone. It's the only thing holding him back. So hold on to DHop unless you really, 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 really need that depth.
Really?
Like
one
really,
more really?
There's really no reason. No, I'd say no. Maybe ask for another player, but realistically, no.
Yeah, agreed. Don't do it unless the depth is needed. Wilson on Twitter asks, Will Fuller, well, it's kind of a question. Will Fuller is the Texans' number 1 receiver, but he is going up against the Ravens, ! Shrug emoji. So I'm assuming, does that mean, are we playing Will Fuller this week?
I think that's what he's asking us. And as I've said before, Brandon Cooks was limited at practice again this week. So, yes, I'm playing Will Fuller. He's healthy. I mean, he's
Against the Ravens defense?
Against the Ravens defense, I'm still going to play him. I think that he's going to get touches, and I think he's going to get yards. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 2. You're finding yourself another flex option here. And personally, I think it's a high-end flex option. Last week, the Ravens went against the Browns. Baker Mayfield looked terrible. Now we're talking about Deshaun Watson, who just went up against the Kansas City defense. He didn't look amazing, but he didn't look bad. He still made his receivers relevant. You've got David Johnson, who's looked like a really talented running back last week. So I do think that they're going to be able to open up the running game as well as open up the passing game. I don't think that you're going to win your week with Will Fuller, but I do think he's going to be a solid flex for you.
For me, with the way the offensive line looked against the Chiefs last week, I am actually fading away from all Texans this week. I'm fading away from Fuller, Johnson, and even Deshaun Watson if you have the opportunity to. I don't like this matchup whatsoever. I think they're going to struggle mightily against the Texans or against the Ravens, and I'm not playing any Texans. So for me, I am sitting Fuller. If I have the luxury, obviously you spent a high pick on Deshaun, but if I have the opportunity to play another quarterback, I'm not going to. Play him.
Fuller.
Huh?
Question was Fuller.
I know, but this is one of my games. We'll talk about it tomorrow because Deshaun might be on my must-sits. Who knows? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was our show. We have our beer of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said at the beginning, we are drinking on the Face Melter from Champion Brewing Company out of Charlottesville, Virginia. It is the apricot mango ghost, and on the side of the can, it even says sour flavored.
Didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Explains a lot.
Yeah, sour ale flavored. Cool can art. It's got a face, potentially melting. Don't know. A lot of vibrant colors, some greens, yellows, pinks, blues. Pretty dope can all around. But they have one tap room, and it's in Charlottesville, Virginia. They currently, Champion Brewing currently brews about 15,000 barrels a year, which, you know, it's a smaller brewery. So for a brewery like this, it's not bad for what they do. And we found it all the way down here in Florida. So so you should be able to find it kind of near you. They do a ton of cool events at their tap room. So if you're in the area, just take a look at their website, and you can look up what's going on there in the room. They do have other sites that you can order from. Let me see here. So they have the Champion Grill, and that's in Charlottesville. Then they also have the. Oops, sorry, my computer's messing up. They also, it's still messing up. They also have the spot in New York you can order from, and then they also have another. Looks like another tap room. Oh no, that's the same one. So pretty much all in Charlottesville, from what their website says. But check out their website at championbrewingcompany.com to check out how you can pick up one of these. They do have a beer finder. Like I said, you can order beer from their website and pick it up and whatnot. This beer here is it's not seasonal. It's a limited edition. Limited beer. So it is kind of exclusive. So,
exclusively amazing. Great beer. Really love the sour flavor. As we get back to that apricot, I know we talked about apricots previously. We both had limited experience with that flavor, other than in some desserts or some jams. But really enjoyed the flavor. Really sweet, really sour. Does have a slight little bitterness. Mm-hmm. I think earlier I compared it to the end of the sip. Really kind of hits almost like a cider. It kind of has that really acidy back taste, but really did enjoy it. It is a 5%, meaning it's pretty standard. It's not going to be too much for you with an 11 IBU, so you're not finding too much bitterness there. It is malted with apricot and mango puree, which is probably where they get the name from. It does pour a little cloudy, light, yellowy, golden, not dark or deep at all, and it kind of just comes through with the taste. It's really light and refreshing. The aroma, you just pick up a lot of those really strong fruity and citrus flavors coming through, not too much bitterness or hoppiness coming out, and again, that flavor just coming in nice, sour, and sweet with the mild bitterness coming in at the end, leaving you with a nice cider finish at the end as well. Really did enjoy this one. Personally, I'm looking at like a 7.5 for me for this.
We've been pretty together on these ratings. I was going to give it a 7.6.
Oh, wow. You actually beat me on it.
Yeah, pretty good beer. Hey. I enjoy it. Something nice and light, not too heavy, which is what I like, crisp. And, I could grab a case of these or 4-pack and sip on a couple and watch some football. I like it. So But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget the Kenny Golladay jersey. John, tell them how they can find that. Write us, ask us questions, tell us they love us, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so everyone, please make sure to check us out at The Fantasy Tap on Twitter and Instagram, where you guys will find us, and how you can win this signed Kenny Golladay jersey. We will be posting it tomorrow, as well as, if you guys want to send us some beer reviews, some fantasy football questions, tips, or advice. If you want your questions to end up on the show, just make sure to DM us on Twitter or Instagram at The Fantasy Tap. Or if you guys want to send it to us in an email, it's going to be thefantasytap@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope you guys have a great Thursday. Looking forward to a great game this week or tonight. So thank you again, and have a great night.
Love you guys. Thanks so much.